Radio.
There is a bit more to firewalking other than just the conductivity of the embers, though. A lot of it is to do with the wood and how the fire is prepared, and also the mental preparation of the participants.
How does somebody become a firewalking guru?
Well, I first firewalked about 8 years ago in Belfast with a guy, and he phoned me up about a year and a half ago and said, "Listen, Stephen, I'm moving to Dubai for work, and I've got 3 firewalks booked in, and I thought you might be interested in getting trained and running them." So I went off to Sweden for the training course and came back and just took it on from there.
So what you're telling me is you actually learned to firework by default?
Yeah, it was never part of my big plan, although I had thought about becoming an instructor a few years before that, but just hadn't got around to it. So I think it was just the timing was perfect in the end up.
Talk me through a firewalk. What do you need? What do you have to do it?
Yeah, well, most of the firewalks that we run are for charities as fundraising events, and all that they need to do is make sure that they organise a suitable venue, and we help them with that. So it needs to be somewhere where we can have the fire outside, ideally, and somewhere where we can do the training with everyone. When we build the fire, we burn about a cubic meter of firewood, so it's quite a bit of wood. It takes about 2.5 hours for it to burn down. The training course lasts an hour before the fire's burnt down to the embers. And once the training's over, then we go outside and walk across it. And you get some people walk across it once, and some people walk across it 4 or 5, maybe more times.
Can you bury a big joint of the pig beneath the fire and then eat it later at the barbecue? Can you?
You maybe could, but that certainly that wouldn't be my forte.
So, does everybody that comes along to these things, do the chicken out? Because I had somebody chicken out on the quiz this morning. Did the chicken out when it comes to the firewalk?
No, the vast majority of people will walk across it. Now, on the night, because it's often dark whenever we're doing it, we can't see if everybody actually does walk across it. But you sort of have a good idea that most people do. We provide certificates afterwards for people. And only once have I had somebody come up to me privately afterwards and say, "Listen, I didn't actually walk across it." But I told them
jumped.
the certificate anyway because you'd come so far.
The hop, skipped, and jumped, did they?
Yes.
I think that's what I would do, or I would have asbestos shoes on or something like that. I just couldn't do it. When people ask me to abseil down the Europa Hotel, I say, "I'll take the lift, thank you very much." I could not do that.
Yeah, for the vast majority of people, it's a no straight away that they wouldn't do it. It's reckoned that at the minute there's about 1.5 million people on the globe that have walked across fire, so we are a fairly small minority.
Right. So it's almost like being the earthling equivalent of men that have walked in the moon.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You could say that.
Yeah.
So, firewalking. I mean, are you into the mystical side? You say you went to Sweden and got involved there in Sweden with the firewalking. Why Sweden for the training?
Yeah, well, I suppose the firewalking has really only become something that sort of Western civilization have been participating in the last 35 years ago. And it was a guy called Tully Birkin in the United States that he had been witnessing firewalking, and he thought, you know what, I'm going to start doing that. And it went on from there, and two of the people that he trained with they live in Sweden, and so I went to train along with them.
And what is the training involved?
During the training, it was a really good personal development opportunity in itself. During it, we walked on broken glass, we broke boards and bricks with our bare hands, we snapped arrows with our throats, we did a sweat lodge, we put needles through our hands, we did all sorts of things, and all of those things I actually now provide as well to the public as well.
It sounds to me like you've been watching too many James Bond movies out there almost.
Yeah, it can be a wee bit too much for some people, for sure.
I think they actually had Firewalking in the Octopussy, and they had the other one, the board breaking in Live and Let Die, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't really watch much TV, to be honest.
I used to try that as a child, you know, Stephen. And when you do that, don't try this at home because you tend to hurt your hand if you try to bake a board with your bare hands.
Yeah, well, again, it's the preparation for people. That's what it is mostly all about. You know, it's firewalking. Yes, it's great when people do it and they raise money for charity, but it's also the personal development that they get through the experience. It can be really empowering. I would receive a lot of emails and messages from people saying that it has made a massive impact in their life. It's really changed how they think about things, and that's where the real reward for me is, to be honest.
For more information on Firewalking, go to firewalkingireland.com.